up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and you're watching the Red Cup Podcast, where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. And it is Monday, and we are live. Thank you, everyone, for pulling up to the Red Cup. I appreciate you. It's been a long weekend. We had a lot going on, so I can't wait to get into some of these topics because I've been sitting here doing this live stream and just laughing. And when I say laughing, I mean like screaming. Okay, like absolutely screaming. So we're going to get into a lot. I do mean a lot today. All right. We're going to get into, of course, the No Kings rally that happened, over the weekend here in DC, Boston, I guess around the country. Supposed to be like 7 million people. I don't believe it. You're not going to tell me this was bigger than the Million Man March, but you let the liberal media tell it was bigger. We're also going to get into some things with Angela Rye, Joe Budden. We're going to get into Stephen A. Smith, who's on the cover photo, okay? Because when I tell you that man is unstoppable, love him or hate him, he's unstoppable. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into, Trump's polling numbers. We're just going to get into a lot, all right? Because it's just starting to see like the weekend is where all the stuff happens. Okay, everybody's saving it for the weekends because I guess everybody's bored on the weekend. Okay, so we're gonna get into a lot today, but I always want to recognize you guys. So what's going on, King Manasseh? King Manasseh. I hope I said it right. True Patriot, got flavor. The genius CEO. What's going on, man? Donna, what's going on? Loud and clear. Nick J. Who else we got? Sugar Shane, DJ Ace Productions. What's going on? Your car. What's going on? Who else we got? Lido. What's going on? Lido Mitch. Frankie. What's going on? Brian. How are you guys doing? Thank you all for pulling up. What you do for the weekend? Drama City TV CLE. Are you from Cleveland? Is that Cleveland? Let me know. But thank you for pulling up. I am Ruckus' nephew. Thank you for pulling up. What is it? Manasseh. Okay, so King Manasseh. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. What's going on? Slimmy in the building. Slimmy, that was a good movie review. Okay. Now, I didn't go see either one of those movies, but you guys did really good. So y'all got to keep that up. And when you get a movie that I know or I'm going to go see, I'll jump on. But what's good, Slimmy? What's good? Salute. What's good, everybody else that just jumped in the building? What's going on, Tony? What's going on, Brian? All right, you guys. So what did you guys do over the weekend? What you do over the weekend? Because I have to know. All right. And we're going to get into these shots. All right. But I want to know what you did on the weekend because the weekend had so much going on. But one thing I saw that's going viral right now, when I tell you this was hilarious. And I want to know if you guys, went to church this weekend. Did you go to church? Let me know in the chat. Did you go to church? Or did you go to mosque or whatever your faith is? Did you go? Let me know what you did. What's going on, Molly? Let me know. Because if you went to church, if you are a Christian, okay, if you went to church, does this happen at your church? This is going viral right now. I want you guys to see this because this was hilarious. And you tell me if your church is like this. Here we go.
I, Roberta McCoy, given faith and stand in unity with the vision of perfecting church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
What? Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
That ain't what he told you.
I, I, Roberta McCoy, given faith and stand in unity with the vision of perfecting church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000,
That's 2,000.
Well, I'm gonna work on the other 800.
well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
That ain't what he asked you to do, ma'am. Ma'am. You came up here. Now, one thing about it, he kept it 100. He told you 1,000 plus another 1,000. Where's the other 8, ma'am? What did you do with it? What did you do? No. You wasn't supposed to keep a little bit for your bills. No. The man told you 2,000. Okay? 1,000 plus another 1,000. Y'all not listening. He told you. He told you what time it was. Okay? Molly, did you come up with your tithes? Quita E, did you come with your tithes? Mandy, did you come with your tithes? Did y'all get it? It couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me. I'd have snatched both of my envelopes back. Okay? Couldn't have been me. One, I'm not giving nobody no $2,000 of nothing. Okay. If I want to put in for the church fund of the roof, I would just go ahead and get the company and fix it myself. I'm not giving that man $2,000. And then he had the nerve to sit in her face while her son was right there. This is, ladies, y'all cannot do this to y'all sons. Okay. Okay. Don't do this to them. I'd have snatched my money right back. Snatched it right back. Okay. But this is what they're doing at the church. So I want to know, did you guys go to church this Sunday? And if you did, is your pastor like that? Oh, what's going on, Ian? What's going on, Mandy? Jay, what's going on? Quick Fix, what's going on? Fallout, what's going on? Did you guys get your tithes on? Okay. Because you cannot tell me that this is the only church like this. You cannot tell me that this is the only church like this. I refuse to believe it. I refuse. So that's how we starting off before we got to get into the drama, child, the drama of it all. Let me go ahead and read the super chat for my girl, Molly. Thank you so much, Molly, with the $19.99 super chat. My tithes and offer. Molly, no. You're not. See, y'all not listening. I told y'all 9999. Okay? That's 1 penny short of 100. You got 999, but you got a 1 in the front. Molly, y'all not listening. Thank you, Molly. I appreciate it. Oh, and then Kim won with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. It's no longer 10%. It's give willing of the heart. Not according to him. He said he told y'all what it is. He told you 1,000 plus 1,000. Okay, now you heard what I just said to Molly. Thank you, Kim One. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you so much. All right. Let me get into this because these people are wildin'. All right. So let's get into what's this lady's name? Angela Rye. Now, you guys know if you've been, watching my channel for the year that it's been on, okay? And we have officially been on a year now, all right? And so if you've been watching my channel, you've seen that I have talked about Angela Rye multiple times. When it wasn't popular, when it was popular, all of that, because I can't stand Angela Rye, all right? She's frequently here in DC and Maryland because of her friend, Marilyn Mosby, okay? The criminal, Marilyn Mosby, who has mortgage fraud, okay? She likes to talk about everybody else, but never talks about her friend. Her friend is a whole criminal, all right? However, I want to get into Angela Rye because we all know Angela Rye, considers herself an intellectual and, she's part of the Black Boule, okay? And so with that being said, I want to get into Angela Rye because she had a lot to say about Joe Budden. And let's just say Joe Budden didn't take it too kindly. All right. Now, her friend, Mark Lamont Hill, is on the Joe Budden podcast. Okay. I don't know if he's on every day because I don't watch that podcast all the time, but I have seen him on there. I want to go ahead and get into this, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Here we go.
To have conversations that stretch, or to have conversations where they at least can appreciate a different perspective. I don't know that I'm into that. So I just want Mark to know I'm praying for you, brother. You know that. And I want better for him. I think that he deserves to hold space with people who are at least more compassionate and more eager to learn from his perspective. And clearly, you can take a Negro out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the Negro. So you might not want to keep leaping at Mark. He might just snap and bust your ass next time. I don't know. I don't want him to do that. But to have.
So that was the first part of what she had to say. Here's more of Miss Angela Rye.
You know, there's another clip that I don't know if you all saw where Mark announces very vulnerably that he's lost almost all of his colleagues that were reporting in Gaza. And by lost, I mean they are killed. They died in their reporting and trying to be courageous for their people.
And then around the world, we're seeing violence everywhere, including Gaza, where I work for Al Jazeera. My colleagues, every colleague I have in Gaza has been murdered. Every single colleague I have in Gaza has been murdered. So we got a lot of work to do, a lot of stuff to pay attention to.
That's pretty good.
All right, Young Thug dissed, I get scared every time he do that shit.
He doing so fast. So you gotta hit.
Everybody know in Gaza is like,
oh, my colleague.
God damn, he doing it again.
You know, there's another clip that I don't know.
All right. So if you don't know what that is about, here it is. Angela Rye is upset because that clip you just saw of Joe Budden and Mark Lamont Hill, because Mark Lamont Hill is on that show sometimes, or that podcast sometimes. Mark Lamont Hill just broke out of nowhere with talking about Gaza, and he tried to add in his tidbit, and they didn't know how to pivot from it, right? And so can it come off a little ignorant? Okay, yes it can, right? But that's not that podcast, right? And so Mark Lamont Hill, a lot of the time, he tries to throw that in there. Now, Angela Rye will say because he's an intellect, okay? He can't be bothered with the anti-intellectuals. And she would like him to just, come on home to the Native Land podcast and other places because, these people can't hold water with Mark Lamont Hill because he's so smart and she's so smart. And they, Joe Budden is just, not up to par, and none of the people on there either. All right. That's what she literally was talking about. Okay. Outside of the rambling for like that segment is like 9-10 minutes long of her just rambling about being intellectual. Okay. I digress. However, Mr. Joe Budden didn't take that too kindly. So we're going to get into what Joe Budden's had to say about it. Here we go.
You quote unquote intellectuals seem to be pulling a lot from places that, again, like it said, you admittedly know very little about. It just comes off a way.
Yeah,
it comes off a way.
It's like if you put,
especially when you pretending to do all of this super black kumbaya shit. I got a problem with that too. I got a problem with the people that masquerade as kumbaya, super black, all for the people, and I'll be the first one to tell you how we're different. I come on here every week and say we're less different than we are alike. We just got different ideologies. But I'm not going to keep listening to people who in 25 years, I've never said the name Angela Rye. I don't give a fuck about nothing y'all talking about over there. I'm saying that respectfully. I don't come on here and say a word about any of that shit. I expect reciprocity. You could have titled that clip totally different.
That's true.
Don't claim to be super pro-black and then take the #1 black urban podcast and put that type of stink on it because you think you got a friend over here. That don't give you a license.
I don't think it's that. I don't think if Mark was here or not, I think
if Mark was here, they would never have those conversations.
No,
They having those conversations because their friend is up here.
No, they having those conversations because Mark is deemed an academic and an intellectual, which you
Well,
are.
he is, not
Which,
deemed,
No,
he
no,
is.
no. I said what you are. So now it's, yo, why is he even there? Like Angela Yee said, yo, Mark, just come home.
Angela Rye.
I mean, Angela Rye. Mark, just come home.
That's the other beef.
But then you go on to say how diverse Mark is. So I think that that's an insult because you don't put Mark in a box. Mark is home. Mark is a black man sitting in a room with black men that grew up in similar circumstances, albeit we wasn't all in the cult. You can't say
we
he's
all
not
had
home.
our own walks of life.
Yeah, dog. Like I just disagree with that shit. I look
And
at
thank
it.
God there was a black-owned, independent media company there to pick up our good brother when he was misunderstood by other outlets.
Talk about it.
Why is that part not being said by pro-black native land people?
She don't like you.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, that's a
Mark was a free agent. Y'all had a chance to bring him home.
and didn't.
You didn't.
That's a good point.
So don't sit up on your fucking platforms all pretentious as one of the Charlemites. That's how I know you.
Charlemagne.
I know you as one of the Charlemites and get to saying what Mark should and shouldn't be doing. Please, please. If you didn't discuss this podcast before, if by your own admittance you know very little about it, shit, the woman Tiffany said at least 5 times that she don't give a fuck about these other opinions. All I'm asking is that you act like it.
Also, if you're
Yeah. He said what he said. He went off. And rightfully so, right? There's a lot, you can say about the Joe Budden podcast, and you can critique it. You can not like it, right? But Angela Rye always comes off to everyone, and it doesn't matter. She always comes off to everyone as if she's the intellectual and everybody else is dumb. Okay, she knows everything. She'll cut you off. Okay, and don't let you be a white person. Okay, if you're a white person, she'll guilt you, and then she'll tell you that you're stupid. Like you can't, you can't make this up. Like you can't make it up. Oh no, not Jersey City. Stand up, Lord Eric. Yeah, he went real Jersey City right here. Okay, he went really, really, really Jersey City, and honestly, he could have said more. But Angela Rye is exactly what she is, a pretentious woman, okay? And honestly, I think it's because she has nothing else going on. She has absolutely nothing else going on. I don't know what's going on with that native podcast, okay? But, maybe people are watching it. I don't know. So I'm not even going to down it. However, on top of all of this, okay, she's already in a peculiar space. Right. She has some things going on with the mainstream media, and she has things going on in her private life. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, ma'am, have a seat. Be quiet. Okay. And then, the other week we had Tiffany going off at Stephen A, about Ratchet Crockett. So that podcast is, I guess, for the lack of better terms, putting themselves in the spotlight. Okay, with all this drama, and maybe that's by design, but at the end of the day, she's coming at the wrong person, because Joe Budden does not hold back. Okay, and no matter what you think about Joe Budden, okay, his podcast is booming, and he did it all by himself. So I don't understand Angela's beef. You can't be that stupid if your podcast is booming and it's his podcast. It's not part of iHeart. It's not a part of Clear Channel, all that other good stuff. It's his podcast. Plain and simple. I digress. So you guys, let me know what you think about that as well, okay? Because I just thought that was wild for, Angela Rye to come out of her mouth and say. Like, that's just absolutely wild, all right? So let's get into Miss Jean-Pierre. Let's get into her. All right. So you guys, if you don't know who Jean-Pierre is, okay, Jean-Pierre is the former White House press secretary. Okay. She's the first, let me see how she said it, Black, queer, non-binary, curly hair. short but tall at the same time. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, that's what she was. She was the first of all of that to be the press secretary at the White House and for the Democratic Party, I guess. I don't know. However, she has written a book. All right. She's written a book and she's going on a whole worldwide tour about it. All right. She's talking to everyone. And I do mean everyone. And now she's even saying that she's leaving the Democratic Party. But that was a little at the end. It was the other thing she decided to say that kind of shocked people because it's like, girl, you know you lying. You know you are lying. Okay. I want to go ahead and get into Miss Jean, yeah, and what she had to say talking to Gail in the morning. Here we go.
Was saying, because I too thought that, and you said, people said, why didn't members of his inner circle speak up about what many believe was the apparent decline of Joe Biden? You said you're a member of the inner circle and you never saw the decline. And after that I wrote, how? You even write, Karine, that you were on the plane with him going to the debate and you didn't see anything.
Well, when we were on the Air Force One going to the debate, you got to remember his campaign people were on the team, his family was on the team. I actually was one of those rare trips that I didn't really see him until after the debate, even though I was on the plane. So really, I want everybody to know that I take this question incredibly seriously. I do. I was his White House press secretary, which means I had a role that saw him practically every day and traveled with him.
And you saw nothing.
For more than 95%.
You saw nothing.
We've always said, we're not going to say, oh, he didn't age. He aged. And he poked fun at it. We always owned up. And with age comes what happens when you get older.
Which is?
But when we talk about the mental acuity, and again, I take this very, very seriously. I never saw anyone who wasn't there. I saw someone who was always engaged. I saw someone who understood policy, pushed us on the policy, and also understood history. And there were times, I'll tell you the story. There were times where he would call me into the Oval Office and I would be like, oh no, because I knew whatever he was going to ask me was going to be direct, was going to be about a story he read, about how we're pushing back, how we're pushing a message forward.
And you write about the people within the party pushing him out. Some would describe those people fighting for a replacement candidate is fighting. But you also describe this current state of the Democratic Party as too timid. And what can the Democratic Party do to get out of this timid and even some will say disappointing place?
So timid that you've gotten out of the Democratic Party.
Here's the thing. I actually think that the system is broken. The two-party system is broken, and we need it to be fixed, to be working in order for a democracy. Look, just this past Saturday, millions of people, 7 million people.
If they say 7 million people one more time, this march was not bigger than the Million Man March. Lord. Anywho, Jean-Pierre, girl, okay. Here's the thing. You are the White House press secretary, okay? We see all the White House press secretaries on Fox or MSNBC or CNN, okay? Whether they're Democratic or Republican, all right? We know you were with that man all the time, literally all the time. You're telling me you didn't see anything. Yeah, somebody's trying to cover themselves. I'm going to tell you that right now. That man has been caught outside licking ice cream, for Christ's sake. Y'all got to turn him around just for him to know it's his birthday. And what are you talking about? I know you saw that man at a mental decline, talking about, oh, well, it happens when you get, a certain age. What happens? Dementia? Because not everybody gets dementia. Okay. So you knew there was something going on with him and you still decided, like the rest of them, to cover it up. And now you're trying to cover yourself by doing these books like everybody else, like Fake Tapper and the rest. Okay. Everybody's writing a book. Okay. If I like Joe Biden, I'd be like, poor Joe Biden. Because y'all knew what was going on and now y'all want to snitch on the man. Okay. Y'all knew his son was, face head, and y'all knew what was going on those laptops. Y'all knew that at the last moment he was going to use the auto pen, because how else are you at the Capitol and the auto pen is at the White House? How did you sign all of those pardons in the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes of your presidency, you were at the inauguration. You can't make it up. Anywho, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. They all knew. So no, I don't want to hear it. I absolutely don't want to hear it. This woman is a liar, and they all knew. So you guys get down in the comments and in the chat and let me know what you think about all of these stories, okay? Let me know what you think about shots, all right? Because we have the anti-intellectuals, which is the Joe Budden podcast, going up against Angela Rye and crew, all right, over there at the Native Podcast. We have Jean-Pierre over here lying and selling this book, okay? Hopefully it's better than 107 days, all right? 107 days of lies and booze. That's what I call that book. And let me know what you think about the pastor who asked his congregation to give not $1, but $2,000. And then when he received $12,000, he told them it wasn't enough. So you guys, let me know what you think about all of that. Let me go ahead before we move on. Let me go ahead and get to this super chat. Kamala's book is trash, child. I listened to the audio book, just trying to listen to it a little bit. I said, let me be unbiased. Okay, and listen to Kamala's book. Child, she's starting talking with that voice, and I said, nope, cut it off. DJ Ace Productions, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Now, this is a loan. I'm invested in the platform, so I'm going to need this back with interest. The government shut down. What you talking about? Nobody getting no interest. The government is shut down. So, yeah, see you when I see you. Thank you, DJ Ace Productions. Oh, my gosh. Magnetar with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. FYI, back in 2022, Creflo Dollar said he was wrong on them tithes in 2022. Some of them knew this already, though. Well, here's the thing. Is it the pastor's fault or the church's fault if you keep giving it? Now, I used to see, when I was a kid, I used to see all the televangelists come on, right? Creflo Dollar, there was another black guy that kind of looks like Creflo Dollar. I can't remember his name, but he used to come on all the time, right? And it was a super big church, and all the people would just give all the money. And there's another one, but he's white. Joe Osteen, that's his name. And he just smiles. Like even when it's not a happy situation, he just smiles. So I see why they give him the money. Okay. He just makes it feel like you're joyous. You just want to go get an ice cream, just like Joe Biden. Okay. So I understand, but these people are definitely taking advantage of their congregation. And I think it's sad. You know, it's funny, but it's sad. All right. So thank you so much for the super chat, Magnetar. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for the info, because I don't know anything about Creflo Dollar. I'll tell you that right now. All right, you guys. Let's move on into our main topics. All right. Let's get into Stephen A. Smith. They are on Stephen's neck. And I don't know why. I really don't. Right? I don't know why they're on Stephen's neck. However, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we know that everybody was upset about Stephen going in on Jasmine Crockett. All right. Now, Jasmine Crockett deserves it. Okay. You know how I feel about Ratchet Crockett. Ratchet Crockett can do all wrong in my eyes. All right. Everything is just wrong. All right. From the lashes to the hair to what she says to what she wears. I mean, now that she got that podcast, the Crockett podcast, I'm just sitting there like, who is watching this? Who is watching this? It's a hot ghetto mess. But hey, to each their own. If she can get it, go ahead. You know, get your money. But yeah, this is where we're at right now. All right. Stephen A is on one. And honestly and truly, I think he's actually positioning himself to do very well in multiple areas. All right. Entertainment, politics, sports, like all of that. However, being in all of those areas, you end up making friends and enemies. Okay. And especially when it comes to politics, because here's the thing, you can talk all of that junk when it comes to, entertainment, sports, and all that, yada, yada. But when you get into politics, they pay attention. Okay. Those politicians pay attention and they will target you. So Stephen A just got to watch out for that. Other than that, I say go for it. But I want to go ahead and get into this because, they're still over there complaining for the most part about Stephen A and what he's saying. But I want to go ahead and get into what I believe his name is Stephen Jackson. Okay. He's an NBA player. And Stephen Jackson had some words for Stephen A. Here we go.
Come on, Stephen A, bro. You get loud and all in your feelings about Braun. When Braun, he talking to a black billionaire, but when you talking to a white billionaire, you humble. And you come back on your show talking real respectful, mild manner, man. Hey, bro, listen, bro. And you dogging the black women. Bro, let's stay out of politics and stick to talking about sports you never played. All right? Just stick to doing that, bro. We not gonna vote for you if you talk. I heard you talking about running. You don't do that, bro. We not gonna vote for you. No, no, we're not. But check this out, bro. Stop, bro. Okay, you do not have the same energy for other people, but you got a lot of energy for Braun and black women and not everybody else. Well, stop it. Come on, Stephen A. Bro.
So what he's talking about is the fact that Alexis O'Hare, all right, who is Serena Williams' husband, had something to say to Stephen A. while he was live on television, but he was not in studio. He was, remote, virtual, whatever you want to call it, right? And so here's the thing. They're trying to say that, pretty much Stephen A. don't have the same smoke that he has for everyone else. And when he says black billionaires, we know he's talking about LeBron. All right. But he said Stephen A should not get into politics because they're not liking certain, things that he's saying. Again, we talked about what he had to say about Jasmine Crockett, and, all the black women and all the, simps got mad. All right. And when I say black women, I'm talking about the 92% that, them and their boyfriends strolled to the poll. Those black women, yeah, that just voted for Kamala just because. All right. Just because. Nothing good. However, I want to go ahead and get into what Alexis O'Hare had to say, because then I'm going to get into what came afterwards. Here we go.
Also, too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
well, you know what? Listen, I didn't. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time. But I
was hoping you were going to be here.
I'm not. Oh no, I am not qualified. Married? Right. Oh no, not me. Well, I ain't qualified, my brother. I'm not qualified.
I was going to ask because you hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No, Stephen. Okay. Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies. Ooh. And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies. Yeah. So I generally try to stay in my lane as advice.
Then we'll talk marriage advice later. I've run 13 years strong. We got you. Alexis, thank you so much. Athlos NYC 2-night event in New York. Incredible. Can't wait to watch. I'm looking.
Not the white man. Okay. So Alexis O'Hare said don't play with him. Okay. Now I really didn't see what he would have been upset about. It's stupid. It's very childish. However, Stephen A played it exactly correct. Okay. And the reason why I said he played it correctly is because what would be the benefit of going back and forth with this man on national television? Okay. And you're not in person. All right. So he can just talk over you. He can do all kinds of things. He can just, say stuff that you just can't, articulate why you are virtual, right? And then what does it look like, right? You argue with a dummy, you get the same result, okay? You look dumb, they look dumb. It's just a stupid argument, right? So joke about it, let it go. Stephen A did the right thing. So all of this leads up to the Pivot podcast, all right? And he happened to go ahead and explain a little bit of this on the Pivot podcast because he was, of course, asked. But not only that, he wanted to say, how he felt about the whole situation and what the situation was actually about, and that he meant no disrespect, but people take it how they take it. Stephen A is just a force to be reckoned with all of these industries. And, he has to play chess. And I hope he continues to play it. But I'm going to go ahead and get into this. Here we go.
Serena Williams' husband. It would have been an entirely different situation if I were in studio. I'm on remote. You're not looking at the camera. You there to promote something on behalf of ESPN Plus and stuff like that. And don't think for 1 second that I'm going to let some petty spat get in the way of my money.
Nope.
That ain't going to happen. I'm just not going to do that. Okay? I was born at night, not last night. Nope. That's number one. Number two, it really wasn't much, because if you think about what I was saying about Serena at the time, it wasn't really about, I was on the air with a couple of other guys, and we were joking about Kendrick Lamar performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl when Serena Williams came back and danced on stage. And obviously, I don't cover pop culture, but everybody knew that supposedly Drake was her ex and stuff like that. All I said was, and I should not have said it this way, I'll concede that, but in going to commercial, joking around, I said, hey, take your ass back to him. You know what I'm saying? And all I was saying was, it's like, most men, I was using it to get into a generic. You know how you're talking about something in football, or you are, and then you'll bring up relationships. Yeah. It's comparatives. All I was saying was, as men, if I'm married and my wife got the energy and the fervor to show up on Super Bowl Sunday and go out on stage specifically to dance off of a song that's disrespecting her ex, my question would be, what's that energy about? Why do you have that energy? Ain't you supposed to be happy with me?
But it was more the LA energy.
I got that. But you said that. Yeah. But I was saying to you how I saw it at the time. And you saw it. The other analysts on the show might have saw it differently. I wasn't even saying, I know LA, Compton,
Kendrick saw it.
I got it. But what I'm saying, I was saying as men, we would be like, well, why you got that kind of energy with the ex? Let's talk. What's that about? You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I'm looking at it from that perspective because everybody was talking about that was your ex. And with you being on stage, it's reminding them that's your ex instead of, I got a man. I'm a very happily married woman with 2 children. That's all I was saying. I was speaking generically. He clearly took it differently. He has a right to. I don't think that he's wrong for taking it differently. I did not mean it that way. And to his face, I would have said to him what I just said to y'all. And I would say, but that you took it differently, I own that, and I'd apologize to you because I meant no disrespect. I was just talking about men because I know how we as men can be. If we think our woman got energy for another dude that was an ex, well, let's just take your ass back to him. What you doing here? Why are you thinking about him and you with me? You see what I'm saying? That's all. That's all I was trying to say. But it was like tongue-in-cheek, more about men rather than about their marriage. And then when he took it there, I build companies, so I talk about building companies. You never been married. Well, whatever. My man, go on. You live your life, I live mine. It won't happen again. I didn't mean it like that. But I wasn't going to make a big deal of it. But if I was face-to-face and he had come at me that way, I would have simply said, sir, I didn't mean it that way. But do you really want me to take it there? Because if you really want me to take it there, then I'll ask the question again. No issue whatsoever with your wife having extra energy for the ex. Because I'm not really thinking about you. I'm thinking about what I know men to be, black, white, Hispanic, and everything. When it comes to your woman, you want your woman to have more energy for you.
I think that's
I'm not casting any aspersions on Serena Williams and
Yeah, I agree with, Stephen A 100%. When I saw Serena walking and all that, I get that she's from Compton, okay? But in the song, okay, if you don't know the song he's talking about, it is They're Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. And even Kendrick thought it, all right? Because Kendrick said to Drake, you better not speak on Serena, okay? And we know why Drake can't speak on Serena. We know why. Because they used to date. Right. So again, I get why some men would say that. And I get the other side as well. Right. And so, he cleared it up. He said that's not what I was doing, and so on and so on. But her husband did have a little smoke for him. Her husband did. And it's her husband, so it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of men saw it that way. I absolutely think a lot of men saw it that way because they know the history behind Drake and Serena, which I absolutely, if it was flipped around, women would be like, yeah, why does he care about her? So I understood it. I absolutely understood it. Even if you don't agree with something, you can understand something. But again, I just thought it all was very childish. Okay. I thought what Steven Jackson had to say was very childish, all because you don't like what he says about Jasmine Crockett, not black women. He said Ratchet Crockett. Okay. He said Ratchet Crockett. He didn't say all black women, but black women are a monolith. So with that being said, they already have smoke for Stephen A. And they're just going to pile it on now. Right. So when he gets into these other arenas, he has to realize that they are going to continue to pile it on. Exactly, agency. Yep, they're going to continue to pile it on. So absolutely, I thought Stephen A was, fine with what he said. However, the smoke keeps coming. Okay. Now I want to get into this really quick because we have here Miss Keita Rose. All right. Everybody knows Keita Rose from popular culture on social media. Okay. And Keita Rose was a woman who was on, I don't know why I always forget this podcast, but here, tell me in the chat. Keita Rose is on the podcast. I don't know why I always forget this daggone podcast, but she was on a podcast, and the thing about it is that whole podcast was just absolutely messy. All right. When I tell you it was messy, read between the lines, absolutely messy. And she's one of them. Okay. So with that being said, I couldn't understand why she would have the nerve to come online and try to carry anybody else for being messy, for being disrespectful, embarrassing. But she did. All right. And did it all while on a cord mic in her car. I want you guys to see what some of the social media lights are saying about Stephen A, even though he's come back and explained himself about what he was saying about Jasmine Crockett, not black women. Watch. Here we go.
Stephen A. Smith said that Jasmine Crockett isn't doing her job, that instead of going against Trump, she should understand that he's a man in power and she should figure out a way to work with him.
Tonight's conversation. Thank you, chat. That's the podcast she was on. Let's run it back.
Stephen A. Smith said that Jasmine Crockett isn't doing her job, that instead of going against Trump, she should understand that he's a man in power and she should figure out a way to work with him. Stephen A. said that he doesn't like Jasmine because she sounds too street, yet he spends most of his time screaming at the top of his lungs, sounding like the world's silliest house slave. He says that her verbiage is inappropriate, yet our president says that he likes to grab women by the How appropriate is that, Stephen? Maybe Jasmine would earn the respect of Stephen A. if she sounded more like Candace Owens. Remember, Jasmine is a criminal and civil rights attorney.
Is she now?
And Candace spends most of her time on HBCU campuses pushing Turning Point USA agenda. Now, if you remember, Turning Point USA was founded by Charlie Kirk, who said that the civil rights movement was a mistake. This is why nobody gives a about respectability politics, because as a black woman, no matter how educated you are, there will always be somebody there to disrespect you and discredit you. And it's unfortunate that it will always be a man that looks just like you. Stephen also said that D.L. Hughley is more of an activist than he is a comedian.
He
but when
is.
you see the agenda that's being pushed on Black Americans, when you understand that Black Americans, especially Black women, are being targeted because of the 350-something odd thousand women that have lost their jobs,
Government
you do
job.
need to be more of an activist than anything else because somebody has to step up and say something. And Stephen, you could be doing something with your platform other than performing and bootlicking for daddy. But we understand that you need to keep your job. Stephen, you need to do just like your hairline and fall the on back. Black women have lost their jobs. People can't feed their families. Children are getting shot up in schools and Black men are being hung on trees. And the only thing Stephen is worried about is how somebody sounds. One of the few people, mind you, one of the few people that are actually fighting for us. So T Daddy Trump, please drop off some D at Stephen's door. He's been begging for it.
Child, you cannot make it up. You can't make it up. Okay.
Stephen A. Smith said,
all right, here we go. I had to write some of this down because she's talking extra fast, okay? And, maybe that phone is on the timer. I don't know. But here we go. First, one of the things that she had to say was that Trump said, grab them by the you-know-what. And she's saying that, how are you embarrassed by Ratchet Crockett when Trump said grab him by the you-know-what? Because Trump was talking to his friend in a private conversation being recorded that he didn't know. So, I mean, you may not like what he said, but it was private. It was private. You just happened to hear it because somebody was shady. Okay. Just like whatever you talk about, to your friends, which we know got tonight's conversation canceled. Yeah. Whatever you talk about to your friends, it's supposed to be quiet. All right. It's supposed to be private. You get to have it, but Trump doesn't. Okay. And then let's go on with this. Black women are discredited. How? They get a mic all the time to talk about everybody. Okay. The 92% talks about everybody. And I do mean everybody. And talks about how people are fat, talks about how people are this, that, and the third. But yet when you say something just about their career, okay, what they are actually doing in public policy, it's a problem. Okay. Stephen A. didn't say anything about how she looks, about, the weaves, the lashes, the nail. He didn't say any of that. He didn't go that direction. He went directly to her job. She's a public policy legislative maker. Okay. That's what she does, or that's what she's supposed to do. But she hasn't done any of those things. All she does is scream and yell and curse at Trump. So he has absolutely every right as a taxpaying citizen of the United States to talk about Ratchet Crockett. That's not discrediting her. Okay. She discredits herself when she talks about herself as a DEI. That's what she said. Okay. And then she says the 300,000 jobs that Black women have lost and they're being targeted. Ma'am, the 300,000 jobs that have been lost, preferably in the DMV area here. Okay. The 300,000 jobs are lost because they were all in the government, preferably the federal government. All right. They are the largest employer, for one, and the largest employer of women. Two, the largest employer of Black women. So when Donald Trump put an axe to all those random stupid jobs that nobody is ever at anyway, okay, that you got your mouse tagging for, all right, because you're not there. You know you're not there, right? You haven't answered the email in eons. So with that being said, he got rid of those jobs, all right? You guys go out and get all of these degrees for all of these fields and don't be in none of them. You go work for the government. That's fine, but the government is not supposed to be the biggest employer. That's why we have all these stupid taxes, because y'all go straight to the government. Straight to the government. Okay? Straight to the government to get a job, especially in this area. People are talking about, oh, Donald Trump is doing stuff to Maryland. No, it's just that all the career people, all the liberal white women, all of those people are here in this area. They're all here. And so when Donald Trump started slashing all those jobs, they got caught up in it. Okay. All the independent, all the single ladies, they're all right here. They're all here in this area. And yeah, they're being affected. All right. Because most of these jobs, you can't get fired. So they just figure, hey, I can do what I want. I don't have to answer to nobody. I don't have to answer these calls and emails because I can't get fired. Donald Trump proved them wrong. So, anywho, moving on. She says next, Stephen A's hairline. Stephen A's hairline. Like, come on. We all know Stephen A's hairline is not the best. But ma'am, neither is yours. Okay? Neither is yours. Absolutely not. We will not talk about hairlines. We will not. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say. I'm looking at it right now. We will not talk about hairlines. And at least Stephen A hairline is his. Okay, so and the last thing she said was black men are being hung on trees. Now, that case is still a ongoing whatever. However, that was a whole thing online, right? Where they're saying that, some group hung this man and they haven't found any evidence of it. I would love to see it if it is. However, the problem is anytime something happens, the context is always taken out. There's never any context and there's never any truth, because the same time that young man unfortunately was found, another person was found, okay? The other person being a white man, okay, was found the same week, being hung from a tree. I don't know what's going on. I don't claim to know what's going on. I never reported on that story because I don't know what's going on. So I leave it at that. But when I tell you they take stuff and run with it, they take stuff and run with it, okay? What's his name? The football player. I don't know why that's slipping my mind because I really don't care about him, I guess. But the football player that's with the Black Lives Matter, he is actually giving money for it, right? He's giving up money. He's given up money for a second autopsy on this young man. All right. The black young man that was hanging from the tree. Well, the second autopsy isn't even finished. And everybody on TikTok, oh my God, they found this and this and that and the third. Man, the guy that's doing the independent autopsy comes out and says, yeah, I haven't even released my findings and I haven't even given my findings. I'm just done with the autopsy. So, yeah, I like to wait for the facts before I pass judgment on anybody. And obviously, this one doesn't. So, as you can see, these people are bogus, absolutely bogus. But they call themselves defending Ratchet Crockett, I guess. So, it is what it is. But I just wanted to show you guys that. Now, last but not least, I want to get into what Stephen A. had to say about Zoran Modami, okay, the socialist that you guys are going to get in a city near you, preferably New York, okay, because he is going to win, all right? And when you guys have to listen to all that music that he put out, all those awful rap songs that he has, you're going to sit there and wonder why, all right? White liberals, you have done us in. Well, you've done New Yorkers in, because that man is going to tear New York apart. Communist. A whole communist. Okay? Forget socialism. Communism is coming to New York. And rightfully so. You're voting for it. However, I want to get into what Stephen A. had to say about that. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear. If the Democratic Party becomes the likes of Zoran Mamdani, who, by the way, I like, not trying to throw any shade on him or anything like that, but if the Democratic Party becomes him, you have no chance.
Tell it.
You have no chance on a national basis in terms of the presidency. In Senate seats in the House, you have no chance. You have no chance. Nope. I want to be very, very clear about that. You might have a Democratic socialist sprinkled here and there, but that ain't what America is. America's about capitalism. America's about dollars and cents. America's about an economy, a flourishing economy. Okay? And you know what it's not about? Free stuff. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear.
No, you was clear, Stephen A. Yeah, somebody got to say it. Somebody has to say it. They want free stuff, okay? And they think socialism is the way to get it. Yeah, it's the way to get it in the beginning until you run out of other people's money. Like Venezuela, like Cuba, okay? Like, I can tell people about socialism. I go back to Cuba all the time. I can tell you what it's like, okay? It's beautiful. Well, Cuba is. However, there's no money. There's no money. Okay, everybody's poor. You got to go sit in the square just to use the daggone phone. Okay, like it's absolutely appalling. Okay, I've never been to Venezuela, but I have followed Venezuela, and those people were high. Okay, those people were high and they were doing all of this good stuff, and then boom, the socialism kicks in like normal. And now you have people who can't find any food in the government run grocery stores. And you also have people eating out the garbage can. You can't, I'm talking about the garbage trucks. You can't make it up. Like you can't make it up because it always goes awry. Socialism never works. You got people, campaigning for Zoran saying, oh, well, this socialism might work. It's never going to work. It's not going to work. I assure you. The people that can move out of New York are going to move out of New York. The rich people that are in New York, they're going to move out of New York. Okay? They're going to go to nearby states. And you're going to see all that capital and business move over there. And what's going to be left? People with no money. And that's when you're going to see how socialism really works. Because he's already saying he's raising the taxes. Okay? He's going to put y'all in close proximity. If New York, you ain't already stacked on each other, But that's what you want. You think you're going to get free stuff. So, okay. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Stephen A is 100% spot on. Okay. And, I am not the biggest fan of Stephen A, but I like a person that speaks their mind. Okay. I like him in sports. All right. I like the fact that he's very animated. I love it. All right. I spend my entire life like that. I love somebody that's animated, but I also love somebody that can tell the truth when it's needed. So at this point in time, I say, Stephen A, go ahead and get into politics. And the Democrats ain't got nothing going on. Absolutely nothing going on. So you guys let me know what you think about that, you guys. What you think about Stephen A and all of the nonsense that they have poor Stephen A going through? Let me know in the chat and let me know down in the comments. I want to bring up a special friend here. Mr. Dave, can you see me? Mr. Dave, can you see and hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
What's going on, my friend?
Trying to be like you when I grow up.
You know what?
I am trying to be like you.
I'm trying to be like you. You busy. You on podcasts slaying people and talking about people and, getting them straight.
No.
Them straight. Yes.
Not me.
Not, oh, yeah. Right. How's everything? What were you just doing?
Tupac famously said, I didn't create thug life, I diagnosed it.
What does that mean?
Delusion? It means that I'm not saying anything that y'all don't already know. It's just that I got the balls to.
Oh, I got you back up.
Okay. I'm giving folks the bad news. That's all.
Oh, no, you're giving them the correct news. That's what we were just talking about with Stephen A. And, since you just popped up, I want to see your thoughts on all of that with Stephen A. What are your thoughts?
First of all, ironically, my mother's a teacher, and she said the funny thing about my profession is there's a bunch of people who are proving that old adage right. Those who can't do, teach. So you've got people like my son and the lady who got fired from MSDNC talking about Stephen A. Smith attacking black women. No. Nobody was attacking black women. Somebody was attacking the fact that we don't know one piece of legislation that Jasmine Crockett has put out that has moved the needle for black people. We don't know one, but you know what we do know? We know her acting extra. We know her doing Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl skits on taxpayer dime. We know that she's constantly upset and telling people to F off in the public square. And when Donald Trump said F around and find out, everybody got up in arms. But this woman has made an entire career cosplaying as what she thinks a ghetto a real good marriage. You know, so it's insane to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. She Jasmine Crockett just wants to, be the Beyonce, and this is what she's saying now. She wants to be the Beyonce of politics.
Then why don't she? Okay, I'm trying to get my. There we go. All right, all right. Why doesn't she try to get like Joy Reid's spot, or get one of them folks that most folks wouldn't look at, and go do that. Go be an influencer. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can't be an influencer and a legislator at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
What's she influencing?
The other ratchets.
Child. Let me get into these super chats, and then we're gonna get into the next topic. Okay. She's not influencing, nothing. Eric Watson, $4.99. Thank you so much with the super chat. If Alexis wanted to check someone, he should have checked his wife. Eric said, check your chick, homie. Stephen A was having barbershop talk. Don't come for the homie. Smart play, Stephen A. That's right. Stephen A is not going to mess up that bag. And yeah, I mean, what was the smoke for? I understand it's his wife, and he's gonna try to defend her honor, but I don't think anybody was disrespecting her. I think he was just talking about the situation, like kind of how we do on the internet all the time.
Right.
We talk about people's situations. So I agree, Eric. Thank you so much, Eric Watson. Thank you, love. Slimmy with the $19.99 super chat. Thank you. And
Big money.
Slimmy said, yeah, coins. Slimmy says, cap. Slimmy will wear all caps on his head. Like he will wear like 10 caps, and every time somebody says something, he just add another cap. This is damage control because he was stuttering and stammering when he checked him. When he checked him about it. Stephen A. Smith was wrong for not saying what he meant. I got the whole story about Jadakiss from Jadakiss indirectly. Okay. But Stephen A. has been on the Cowardly Lion. You know what? Hey, I can understand it, I can understand it. However, here's the thing about it. I think it's okay to go ahead and check someone, okay, if that's what you feel you need to do. However, I also felt like Stephen A wasn't directly talking about Serena. I think he was kind of like saying like what most men would do or how they would feel about it. But I can understand both sides. Thank you, Slimmy. I appreciate you. We might get to argue about it this week on After Hours. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for the super chats. All the facts, yeah. Wild takes all the time. Yep, gotta love it. All right. So let's move on to the last topic here. Hold on, Dave. Let me put you on here. Let's see. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Here's the last topic, Dave. We are talking about the No Kings rally, aka Woodstock. Okay. And the reason why I'm calling it that is because a lot of the, everything that was going on, a lot of the people that showed up were at least 65 plus. Everybody that showed up could, pretty much be considered well past senior citizen. Now, there's nothing wrong with, being a senior citizen, but you got to think that, with the Democrats saying that, Kamala had young people on their side and that young people are, Dave, you're froze. And that young people are pretty much, on the Democratic side, I should say. You would think that they would have a better turnout with young people, but they did not. All right. They absolutely didn't. So I want to get into that because I thought this was important. All right, let's see. Let's get you back up here. Dave.
Yeah.
There you go.
Steady and stationary, baby.
Oh, I got an echo. You hear me?
Yeah. Oh, don't do the echo on me.
All right. All right. So I want to go ahead and get into that, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Here we go. Oh, I still got Stephen over here. Here we go.
First, I want to talk about this so-called No Kings protest. Your team exposed this, and you found a poster. Apparently, they're touting the communist.
Yeah, well, it's actually sponsored. If you look at their sponsorship of the No Kings rally, it says CPUSA, which is the Communist Party of the United States of America. And it actually has the same symbol that the old Soviet Union used to have on it. When my team first saw it, they looked at it and they said, is this for real? We researched it, and sure enough, you can see it right there in the bottom left-hand corner where it says CPUSA. You're going, okay, there's a reason why Republicans are calling this an anti-American rally. It is exactly what it is. When you have the Communist Party that's sponsoring it, you're saying that's pro-America? Come on, give me.
So literally, the Communist Party is literally out here sponsoring this thing. I mean, they are sponsoring things left and right. I'm going to get you back up here, Dave. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can get you back up here. Can you hear me, Dave? I can't hear you.
Now you should be able to hear
Yep,
me. No
now I
echo.
can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because we're about to get into it.
All right. So the first thing that I need to say is just sometimes when I say this, I try my best not to sound condescending, Mika. I really do. But I feel like people who don't have two connected brain cells cannot understand if, in fact, Donald Trump, who has issues, who is flawed, he's a human being.
Correct.
If he was a king, you wouldn't be able to protest anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mike Johnson actually said that at a press conference. And the government is shut down right now.
Right.
So normally when the government is shut down, you cannot actually go and go on the mall, go on a national mall. But yet Donald Trump allowed them to go on a national mall.
Right.
So is he a gracious king?
He's at bare minimum a benevolent dictator. He's benevolent. He's letting these people, all the people, the commies, the rainbow people, all the people. Listen, even JD Vance said, listen, we're doing what we need to do. But the truth of the matter is, if anybody's a dictator, y'all ain't gonna like this one. So I apologize right now because this is going to sound like I'm attacking black women, even though this broad ain't black. If anybody's a dictator, if you hate No King so much, then why were you okay with Kamala Harris literally ascending to an office or to a ticket, to the top of the ticket without a primary? Joe Biden didn't die. He was doing the work of the American people. He didn't die. He's on life support. There's a movie I need you to watch, Mika, because I know you ain't seen it because you ain't got time for that. There's a movie called Dave. It's dead ass. It's literally called Dave. And it's about when the president gets taken out and they find a double to replace the president. And that double walks around, and then when they're done, when the double starts to balance the budget, and the double starts to do things for the American people, they fake a heart attack and they get him up out of there.
That's the thing of it, in real life, because they like to put stuff in movies.
Yo, all I know is Biden was glitching so bad, they was like, let's just put Kamala up there. They ain't gonna fight it. We'll just put out some black girl magic, get some Lizzo pop in this, that, and third. But if you want to talk about No Kings, you literally let this cosplaying Negro, alleged, get to the Democratic nomination without a primary. Barack told you he wanted it to go to the
he wanted to go to a primary
to the convention, and y'all was like, no, we want Kamala now. And she took $1 billion and lost 25 million in the process. So no, and that's the thing. He's not a king. He may be a bit of a pill for some people to swallow.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't see him doing king things. You guys are just so used to symbolism and nonsensicery and dancing and doing the nay and Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and Lizzo getting, $2 million and a private plane ride to and from a rally, and Fat Joe, doing lean back
Not Fat
for
Joe.
Fat Joe doing lean back for Tampon Tim at a rally. Like, you got a phenomenal concert series. I call it the Commie Concert Series because that's what it
Commie
was.
concert series?
Because that's what I call Kamala. She's a commie whose name happens to be Kamala. So it's the Kamala Concert Series. CKC for short. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So that's actually good. I like that.
I do what I can. I do what I can.
I want to get into what I saw on MSNBC because we all know MSNBC always tells the truth. Okay, the truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. And so on MSDNC 13, they decided that they would, show an area view of the rally. But it was what happened with that area view that so many people on X and other platforms paid attention to. I want to go ahead and get into that really quick. Here we go. Because this was hilarious.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that. We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC. Look at this.
Now, the reason why this box is up here, if you guys aren't reading it, it says here, this video is from 2017 Boston protest. And where this came from was Grok. So the 7 million that they said, supposedly that they had, this isn't even from this year. It's not even from last year. It's not even from
5 years ago, right? No, not 5.
It's not even from the Kamala era. Okay, this is 2017.
So when my daughter was 2. Oh, okay, cool.
And so they got caught and they never corrected it. They never corrected it.
They won't, because again, they need you to believe the lie. And people are so in love and so busy sucking on the teat of the Democratic Party that they're just gonna be like, so, but what about Trump? And what about JD Vance? And then what about the Republicans? And I'm like, it's the Democrats that have shut the government down. I hope y'all enjoy not getting your food stamps in November.
Oh, I can't wait to do that video tomorrow. Oh man, because I'm not only talking about that, I'm talking about all the nonsense that's been happening along with it. I don't know if you've been watching some of the stuff on social media, but they've been raiding the stores.
They started looting again. Did George Floyd come back and then did
he
die again?
You know what? So we are going to move to the next part. So let's go on to what they said was out here. So we see this here. And apparently they say, everybody was energized. Look, all these people out here. There's 7 million, thousands of people across the country, totaling to 7 million. However, not only was it not that much, it wasn't a young event. All right. I want to get into that, showing exactly what kind of event it was. But I want to kick it off with the ringleader, Nancy Pelosi.
The Crypt Keeper is back.
Here she is.
Gonna tear up the crown. Gonna tear up the crown.
I'm telling you, this is elder abuse. This is absolutely elder abuse. Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, this is a woman who got on her knees in public for a black man. So, I mean.
Oh, with the kente cloth. Yeah, I remember.
You remember that? Yeah, it was like T'Challa came through. Like she was meeting the Wakandan delegation, and they took a knee. Like Kaepernick was the Black Panther. And I mean, this is the same woman that got mad when Donald Trump said, it's the China virus. It's the China virus. And she this racist went to Chinatown in D.C. and ordered some dim sum and took selfies with the Chinese restaurant people. That's what she does. Everything's a show with them. It's like they're older than Methuselah's sister, but the gag is they continue to do show and tell demonstrations like they're in kindergarten.
Well, they were doing show and tell, and we're gonna show and do tell. This is the people that arrived. Here we go.
Okay. Here we come. All right, I got you. Got me? Yep, I got you.
Like my grandpa. My man right here with the scooter.
That is not a scooter, Mika. That is a hover around 3000. Yeah. He got the walk and sit roller. Look at that moo and them Air Jesus 36s.
He did that all by himself too.
You know he did. Arthritis flaring up at all. He used them damn Sharpies.
My pawpaw would not be out here.
Where do you get the baggy jean cuffed capris? Do they sell them at the pop-pop store?
I ain't seen Knickerbockers in a long time.
Listen. Oh my God, the knock knee. She needs universal health care right now.
I haven't responded yet.
No Kings protest.
Come on with it.
Come on, take your time. They'll get there by next Thursday.
Queen Elizabeth, go ahead, girl. Bless they heart. Bless they heart. That is the demographics of the No Kings protest. Okay. I can't make it up. I lied to you not. That was the demographics. And the crazy part about it is everybody said that the Democratic Party they were gonna be so energetic out here, that they were gonna have, young people, old people, all of this, right? And there's nothing wrong with senior citizens. Like, I love old people, but they are not the future, right? Obviously. So with that being said, you would think the Democratic Party would have young folk out here. There were no young folks. So
but
go ahead.
But where was Tiffany Cross? Where was the dude on that show who wears all the makeup and had
Andrew Gilliam?
Yeah. AKA Walking Pause 3. He's a walking pause. Every time I see him, I feel like Dame Dash is gonna pop out the bush and be like, pause. Like where was that? Where was my son? My son ain't had somebody sing me a My Son song. Mika, you got one? You don't know one, but he's sitting up here. He going after Stephen A. He talking about no kings. He wants a lot of attention.
Yes,
I really want to get my son on a broadcast because I'm a nobody. So like maybe he'll debate me, but he keeps shooting way above his weight class. I'm above his weight class, but I mean, at least I'd come down to punch him. Like I'm trying to understand what he does that's other than these podcasts that are funded by gatekeepers. I don't know what he's doing to better black people. No, Donald Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. Are black people still suffering? Or do we still have food desert issues? Do we still have inequities we need to deal with? You're worrying about whether or not Donald Trump asked for a Nobel Peace Prize. Homie, you can't even make a hit. Why are you here? Like, why
Tell me about it. That's what they do. That's what they do. I was talking about Angela Biden earlier with Joe Buttons.
That is a waste of a good-looking woman.
Yeah, that's how I feel about I feel about her and Abby. Okay, the TDS is strong. The TBS is strong with that one.
Every time Abby opens her mouth, I forget she's fine.
Yeah, she goes immediately to being ugly. I just I can't do it. I can't do it. So the leader of the generation boomer free world, Bernie Sanders, decided that he would come to DC and speak. Okay.
No, Mika, wait, please. I have to do this. Folks, please, at this time, if you're listening, please turn down your speakers, because Bernie tends to yell. Please be prepared. We warned you in advance. We are not responsible for any eardrum bleeding or loss of hearing. Okay, I just want to get that out there so that you're protected legally. Go ahead. It's fine. It's fine. You can play.
He is Bernie Sanders.
No, President Trump, we don't want you or any other king to rule us. Thank you very much, but we will maintain our democratic form of society. We will not move toward authoritarianism in America. We, the people, will rule. This moment is not just about one man's greed, one man's corruption, or one man's contempt for the Constitution. This is about a handful of the wealthiest people on earth who, in their insatiable greed, have hijacked our economy and our political system in order to enrich themselves at the expense of working families throughout this country.
What are you talking about, Bernie?
I am talking about Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and the other multi-billionaires, the very same billionaires who funded his campaign, who have bestowed gifts upon him, and who have seen huge increases in their wealth and power since Trump took office. We rejected the divine right of kings in the 1770s. We will not accept the divine right of oligarchs today.
He would know. He absolutely would know. Yes, 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 yes.
But again,
you can tell.
How's he going to talk about democracy when he's a socialist? I'm trying
And how is he going to? How is he going to talk about? Remember, his stick used to be all of the millionaires, all of them.
Billionaires.
Oh, but Bernie is a multi-millionaire. Okay, he's not a billionaire yet. Too. Once he gets the billionaire status, right? Once he gets there, he's going to move it. All of these trillionaires, you're going to be talking about, like, that's when you're going to get to the, the Rothschilds and them. That's when you're going to get up there. Okay. Once everybody has moved upward, because Bernie is full of it. Okay. He's in the same class. They asked a question of him the other day on the news. They said, well, you are a part of this class, and the view goes, also, why don't just Congress just, suspend their pay? He said, well, we can't. We can't, some of those people can't, they got kids and stuff. They can't afford. I'm like, that's the point. Yeah. Other people out here in America, they have kids and things like that. And you guys are sitting here talking about you fighting Trump. Like, these people are full of it.
Listen, the old man and the bartender, I almost called her a thought, but that's not fair. Have been flying private and telling people that they need to look out for the poor. Do you know how much money it costs for one person to fly private on average? $8,500. And that's domestic. That's domestic. It's usually 10 to 15. And my whole thing is, if you care that much, why don't you donate a month's salary to the American people? Why don't you do that? Or why don't you say, listen, we're not going to put in classes, dance classes for Brazilian male prostitutes in this bill. We're not doing, rainbow flag re-education in this bill. And you trying to say it's about healthcare.
In Afghanistan, where they're going to throw them off the bridge anyway. Man, you can't make it up. But the thing about it is, they're so disingenuous. They sit there and they tell the people, the white liberals, because that's all that was out here. Okay, DC is a very brown town, and I didn't see nobody. So you could no. I was out, and on top of that, they said it was so many people. The highway was open. Wow. I've seen plenty of protests here in DC where the highway is overran. I mean, you can't do anything. Everybody was driving in DC. So I don't know what they're talking about. They absolutely
they're doing this because nobody fact checks them. And then, again, like you said, I'm doing, because I'm touring promoting my book. And what I find interesting is people are like, well, where is this guy getting all of his information? I know I read studies. You guys don't do that. You watch The View. You're watching multi-millionaires who have at least 30 million per annum combined salary tell you how much they care about poor people. Really?
Yep.
Joy Behar don't give a rat's ass about you.
They don't live where you live. And that's what I hate about those liberals, especially the white liberals, because they're always at the top. But when
what kind of liberals were that?
White. Yes. White. They all tend to be white. When they sent them to Martha's Vineyard, they said, oh, wait a minute, wait. We have no space for them here. We don't either, but you keep sending them to our city.
Listen, then they get mad at the Republicans who say, "Oh, okay, you're going to cross," like the got mad at what did Thought Pocket Crockett call him? Governor Hot Wheels. They got mad when Governor Hot Wheels said, "Oh, well, we got sanctuary. I'm gonna send you to a sanct. They want you."
That's because she wanted them for her constituency.
Oh,
because she doesn't care about those black people down there. She doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. I did a whole video on that. Not one thing. Not one thing. And they keep saying, "Oh, she's out here fighting for what?
She's
not
a leader.
Not a street sweeper. I don't see nobody cleaning the alleys."
So you saying in South Dallas, it's still people getting shot and the trash is still in the streets? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, cool. I just trying to understand what she's doing. Oh, it's all right. But I understand the last budget has increased. 755%. Wig glue is up.
Wig glue is up.
Lace front stocks are going gangbusters. Get you some.
You know what? I'm about to look up Gots to Be Stopped. Because if they following Magic Crockett like this, I got to look it up. I got to get in on this. So we all seen the geriatrics, of it all out here at the No Kings. And, MSNBC could not tell the truth about the crowds, but they did have to tell the truth about Gen Z not being there. And we have one of those white Gen Zers here. Here we go.
But look, I was there today, and I made a bunch of observations. First of all, not a lot of very young people. I think that my generation saw the definitive movements of our lifetime, Black Lives Matter, Me Too, the March for Our Lives, and said, okay, well, we're still watching black boys get murdered by cops. Somebody's getting put up for mayor in New York City who has a dozen credible sexual harassment allegations. We're still seeing schools get shot up. What are these protests going to do for us? The boomers who came out, and there were so very many of them, they saw the Vietnam protests, the civil rights protests, and there was something tangible that came out of that. But the protests that we've seen, there's been so much great awareness that's been spread. There have been victories on a smaller level, but they haven't felt like these protests have directly led to what we are going for. But look.
What is it that Gen Z wants? They already don't work.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any bass in his voice, so he's definitely Gen Z. Yeah, we haven't seen.
And he doesn't have a hair on his chinny chin, because that boy he's
still pooping yellow.
Yeah. And it's just like, what do they want? What they're not doing anything. They are, well, let me put it this way. The libs Gen Zers, because I have noticed that the conservative Gen Zers, they're actually, trying to cultivate a lot of different businesses and families. A lot of them, want to be married and different things like that. They're getting into certain fields and they're getting back into trade. So I have noticed that with conservative Gen Zers, but I haven't figured out what liberal Gen Zers actually want. Because one minute they said they want what?
They want allyship so that when they run for Senate in 2056, they'll have some people say, "Hey, look, black people, we told you that the cops are shooting you and you're oppressed, and the reason you poor is the big bad
Facts.
evil racist Republicans, and
Facts.
the reason the government is shut down is because the big evil racist Republicans wouldn't give us underwater basket weaving for Libyans." And no, never mind. Go ahead. This your show. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right. And one of those ridiculous people happen to be this
Oh
one
my
right here.
God.
I can't stand this boy. I can't stand this boy. Okay,
He
I
looks
know
like
he's
a walking pause too.
he's 23, but he acts like a child. This is Harry SISSION. Okay,
What?
Harry SISSION.
So he's a sissy. He's getting his
SISSION.
sissy on? Getting his sissy on. Okay.
SISSION.
Oh, that's his name. Okay, my bad. I need a drink. Okay.
It's very fitting. Harry is one of the Democratic DNCers, top, influencers. And he was at the No Kings rally in New York and decided to post it. And so this was his quote unquote experience, being pretty much damn near the only Gen Zer there. Here we go.
All right, folks, look, I am on my way to No Kings in New York City. You can hear it in the background already. We're on a major avenue, 7th Ave here in Manhattan. It goes right through Times Square. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at right now. This protest is huge. I was at the last one. This one looks even bigger. Take a look. And look, let's just get ahead of the narrative now for MAGA. All these people you see protesting, they're doing so peacefully. There's no violence, no nothing, no disruptions. These are people in the streets making their voices heard. It really doesn't get more American than that. And I'm now approaching Times Square. You can see it in the background. Take a look. I love it. See, when Democrats go protesting, we got music, we got good people in the streets, we have peaceful protests. When Republicans do it, they invade the Capitol building.
This boy gets on my last nerve because he just lies. I mean, he is very good at telling the, lies of the DNC, Democratic Party, liberals. I don't know. He does these talking points very well, though. I will give him that. And he actually, because he's young, he's good at social media. So he gets those messages out there that the DNC hasn't quite, been able to do. Like, they can't go do what the conservative Republicans have been able to do with, social media. So they use this SISSION. But this is NYC. Now, the reason why I wanted to show him was because over the weekend, everybody made a big stink about what Donald Trump posted. Okay. Donald Trump posted this, which was his on his Truth Social, I believe it's called. And he posted this, and that boy that you just saw, SISSION, was the target of this here. Here we go. I don't know if that's a copyright. But you see what Trump is doing in this fighter jet.
Yeah.
And there's Harry.
Oh, yes.
And then
Right
there's the
on
No
it.
King rally in New York, Times Square.
Hilarious.
So Trump posted that, and the left was livid.
Yeah. First, he doesn't have his mask over his nose, so they're going to get mad at that because they love masks. Secondly, they're full of it, so for him to give them more on top of what they
I thought it was
already
awesome.
are.
I thought it was awesome.
Oh,
And
it's phenomenal.
so CNN and all of them was like, oh my God, you have an American president saying that he wants to poo on American people. I said, okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Yeah.
I didn't get it, right?
Y'all tried to shoot this man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
said
you.
y'all wanted him to die.
I thought it was hilarious. When I saw
Looked
it,
funny
I
to me.
said, Trump is such a troll.
They're not
He's such a
used to
troll.
it.
No, they're
used to
not.
it.
They're not used to it. They're used to these stuffy people, or drunks like Kamala. However, they then turned around and they gave poor Mike Johnson 21 questions about this. Here we go.
That the president of the United States over the weekend
released a video of him pooping on the American people.
The president uses social media to make the point. You can argue he's probably the most effective person who's ever used social media for that. He is using satire to make a point. He is not calling for the murder of his political opponents, and that's what these people are doing. I mean, they're in one of these photos. I think there's a picture of the president hanging in effigy by a noose on one of these, one of the far end. I mean, it's unconscionable. Look, America is built on the idea of free speech. You have the right to protest. Of course, we jealously guard that. I mean, Chip and I are attorneys. We've defended that right in the courts. But what they're doing right now is different. They are trying to incite violence. It's not funny. You don't mock a president who has already had 2 failed assassination attempts on his life. This is not a game. And the idea that communists would be supporting this is unconscionable to us.
And that's what they're not talking about. And that's why earlier I played the fact that this is supported by the Communist Party and that they're actually one of the sponsors.
Yep.
And so I got why Donald Trump did this in the first place, because those quote unquote Americans down there actually do hate America. You cannot love America and love communists. You cannot love America and want socialism. It doesn't go together, right? Stephen A. was speaking about it earlier. This is not America. And so my last point here, and then I'm going to get your thoughts about it. My last point here is, with all that being said, all of that you guys saw from the No Kings protests, all right, does this affect Donald Trump? Okay. And I want you to see what China News Network here had to say about the poll numbers and the shutdown and this No Kings rally. Like, what do people actually believe? Here we go.
About Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating, we're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this: the first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay, what about the question of blame? Okay, you see here, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans blame Trump a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown. So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
And he's doing things differently during this shutdown.
Yes, exactly right. You know, we talk about Donald Trump and you say, okay, he wants to be a consequential, influential president. Well, if the legislative process is basically freezed up, you know, on Capitol Hill, you may say, well, then he can't actually get legislation through. But that's not how Trump is governing in this term. We've spoken about this over and over and over again. He's using his pen.
His actual pen. He has
not an auto pen.
Not an auto pen. He has 210 executive orders because they have been fighting him or not trying to purposely pass any bills. So I am coming back to you because now that we've gone through all of that with the No Kings rally, Donald Trump's approval ratings, the no Gen Zers, only the baby boomers really rallying against them, only the white liberals really out there. What do you think is actually going to go on from here on? Like, what do you think about the shutdown? What do you think about Donald Trump and his approval ratings? Like, what do you think, Dave, in your smart mind?
Well, Mika, I hate to say this, but the truth of the matter is the Democrats are the problem. And Donald Trump has gotten smart this time. He's not
Yeah.
expecting the American people to do their own research. He's putting the facts out there and then letting them deal with the consequences of the facts. And the fact is, there are 53 Republicans who said, hey, listen, we don't want the government to shut down. And in order to make something happen, you need to get 7 Democrats based on the way the seats are. And them Democrats are staying lockstep with their party because they're not there for the people. They are there for the party. And I'm not talking about free drinks before 10. I'm talking about the Democratic jackasses. Because it's a donkey. When it comes to his approval rating, what hasn't he done? And the thing that's not working well for Democrats is because they've used the same playbook over and over and over again, and wondering why people are starting to say, hey, I don't like this play anymore. When you said it's impossible and you can't do anything for people or poor people or black people or things of that nature, and you see Donald Trump clearly doing things for the American people and what his party elected him to do with the stroke of a pen, just like he told Kamala when he watched her in their debate. And he said, what I need you to do, why don't you just go right now? You can do it. You're in the Oval. You can go right now, go down to the residency at 4 o'clock or whenever Joe Biden gets up that morning, because it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know when he gets up. And he's old. And tell him just to write something, just write an executive order, close the border. And she said, oh, well, And then on day one, without even taking off his jacket from the inauguration, he wrote an executive order, picked up the phone, and closed the border because he's the president. And then take Donald Trump completely off the table. I'm old enough to remember George W. Bush saying, I'm the decider. I'm the president. And he did exactly what he wanted to do. When they said, oh, you can't go to war, he said, I got a coalition in the building. You either with me or not, but we going.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna get revenge for what they did to my daddy. That was in asterisks and in parentheses. He didn't actually say that. But
Yeah,
we know what it was.
you know what it is. That's
No,
exactly what it is.
it's up on you. But guess what? If somebody came after your daddy, wouldn't you do the same thing? Yes, you would. But my whole thing is Democrats act like I don't know what we can do. But again, they can get on those podcasts, they can find those influencers and tell black people, well, black people, black men need to protect black women. And first of all, talking about what's happening in society and saying that we need policy is not anti-black. Having rich, well-to-do black people who all live in gated communities and don't know nothing from the hood outside of Boys in the Hood, Juice, and South Central, telling black people who have to live every day and punch a clock that it's anti-black to not be a Democrat is asinine. Joe Biden did it and y'all didn't do nothing. So now they just said, let's let the Negroes do it themselves. It's an Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its own ass. That's where we are, Mika.
You're absolutely 100% correct. Yes, I'm telling you. When I just look at all this, it's almost nerve-wracking because everybody that's on the liberal side, they understand what's going on. They know the games that are being played. How DMX say, what type of games are being played? This how it's going down.
How's it going down?
Yeah, zone to zone. So we got to know now. Yeah, that's what we're going through right now. I swear to goodness, because the environment that we're living in, the Democrats know what we're doing. I heard Jasmine Crockett say, oh, well, the Republicans, this is their shutdown. They act like they don't know how to do math. No, we know how to do math. 60 votes. We need your votes. Ma'am, it's regular third grade arithmetic. Okay. So at the end of the day, we know we need your votes. But for some reason, she's able to get across a message that this is a Republican shutdown. And I'm just like, I don't get it. If I give you a bill and I say, hey, I'm not going to put nothing in it. Don't you put nothing in it. We'll just open the government back up and we'll go and argue, which is what you're supposed to do, right?
That's what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
There are representatives. It's in the name. Okay. Never mind.
Well, it's not in Jasmine Crockett's name.
No.
But at the end of the day, that's what they're supposed to do. So how is this a Republican shutdown? I have absolutely no idea, but that's
Because they said
what
it
they're
was.
pushing. That's
'Cause
what
they
they
said
put.
it
Yeah,
was.
you're absolutely correct. So that's what they believe, and I think I would like to give liberals more, a little more credit. All right. I know some of them are just too far gone, but I would like to give liberals a little more credit because I don't think Donald Trump gets to higher numbers without some of them. Some of them got to be coming to their senses and saying, this is not all Donald Trump, right? And y'all need to do something about it. So I'm starting to think some of them are even turning on their own party, right? And go ahead.
Listen, I remember a time, and I was in radio. I lived in Camp Lejeune, which is
Mhm.
a Marine base in Eastern North Carolina, Jacksonville, North Carolina to be specific. And I was sick. And our secretary at the radio station calls and she says, "Listen, you got to come to the station. We under attack. Turn on the TV." And I turned on the TV. I said, "Sue, that's Independence Day." And she was like, "No, they hit the World Trade Center." I said, I was sick. So you know what I mean? I was groggy. I got up and I got there. And I remember on September 12th,
Mhm.
2001, the day after the towers came down,
Mhm.
any racial tension I felt being a black man in Eastern North Carolina went away because at that point we were all Americans. And I remember people saying, "You know what? I didn't vote for George W. Bush, but he's our president. We got to stand behind him right now." And there were elected officials who were Democrats who was like, "Listen, we got to back the president right now. This cannot
I
stand. This
bet
is
they
the
did.
worst attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor." And I'm trying to understand why it is so hard for people to realize that if you cared about people, if you're the party for the people, and all of the government services that your constituents use are now going to be out come November 1st because you want to have a pissing contest with the king of pissing contests.
Mhm.
And he's not even fighting. He's like, "I want to get this solved." Just like he was like, I don't. I want all killings to stop. I want it on both. I don't want killings. I want people to stop wars. I don't like wars, but I'll do it."
Mhm.
At some point, you got to realize you don't have to like him. And I know that's your order from the DNC to just tell everybody you hate him and he's a racist and he's no good and ignore KKK Biden,
Mhm.
or anything like that. At what point don't you realize that you're only hurting your people in order to prove a point so that you can convince your people that the reason that they're suffering is not because of your benign neglect, but because of the orange man with a comb over? Okay.
And you can't get them to think anything else.
Nope.
They like I used to see liberals that thought somewhat logically and could understand certain things, but for some reason, Donald Trump has introduced exactly what he said, derangement. Like all logic goes out the window. They talk about fascism, they're talking about this, that, and third. They don't even know what fascism is. They don't know what authoritarian is. They barely know what a dictator is. And so when I hear all of those things, I'm just like, okay, explain to me why this man is all of these things. They can never do it. Okay. They absolutely can never do it. And I'm just sitting here like, this is what we have to deal with for the next 4 years.
Mika, here's the thing, right? I think at this point, we need to have an honest conversation with the American people ourselves and tell them the truth. Stop sending your kids to these colleges if they are not doctors, lawyers, engineers, and start getting their asses over to trade school, get them to paint some bridges, teach them to run at Mako. Listen, the dude who's managing the Jiffy Lube in my neighborhood, he making 127 grand a year. He ain't got no
Absolutely.
parts of a degree. I'm gonna need us to bring trades back, but see, the Democrats don't want you to do that because if you have a trade, then what winds up happening is they can't take you out because they need you in the system, right? Because you can't diminish somebody's trade skill. There's no AI for plumbing.
Right.
There's just
They
not.
still need builders. They
Still
still
need
are
'em.
going. They're still going to need builders, and maybe they don't have tons of people on the work site, but they're still going to need them, and there's still going to be somebody that needs to have those engineering skills, those STEM skills, all of those things, and
Right.
even with AI,
Mhm.
I tell young people all the time, hop on that, like
Right.
learn these things, like
Yes.
you're in the generation to learn it, so
Right.
learn it. But,
That's it.
they send them to these schools, half of them don't know what they wanna go for.
Mhm.
They come out and then they say, "Okay, well, you have to have experience." They're like, "Well, what did I go to school for?" I'm like, "They didn't tell you in school that you were gonna have to have experience. You should have been, interning while you were in school," or things like that. Like, a lot of them are just they're there, partying, or they're there, doing something else.
They're there under false pretenses.
Yeah.
You might not know this. I'm a college professor. And
I
what's
didn't know.
funny is, yes, yeah, yeah. So, I hired a young lady who I taught after she graduated.
Mhm.
And, I said, listen, we're going to put you on a 90-day probation. And I gave her to my executive team to train her. And she did a pretty decent job until she cut some corners on some things that cost me, 5 figures. But I digress. What winds up happening is she was like, yeah, well, it's been 90 days and I want to negotiate and I want this salary. I said, well, you had that one snafu. And I said, people on my executive team don't make as much as you're trying to ask right now. Plus, you don't have the breadth of experience. And she says,
Right.
well, Professor Anderson, I do have the experience. I have the degree. I said, baby, I got 5.
I tell them all the time, I got
5.
2.
What is you talking about? You don't have any
Doesn't
experience.
matter.
And she said, but no. The degree means I have experience. I said, no, let me put it to you this way. When you got your driver's license, did anybody from NASCAR contact you? No, why would they contact me? I'm not a NASCAR driver. But no, you have a license, so you have experience. Oh, you're fired. And then I went on with my day. But they all think like that because they've been
Yeah.
told that all you got to do is get a degree,
Yeah.
kill your debt to income ratio, and everything will be fine. If you want to fix America, fix America.
Yeah.
Do a job that requires you to do something. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my Negro mouth shut because y'all don't want to hear me say this. Because next thing you know, he's a Trump supporter. That's what it is. He doesn't have any critical thinking skills. He's been magnified. He's
in
a
a cult.
magnified Negro.
He's in a cult. He's a tether. That's their favorite one for me.
You Cuban. You Cuban. That's why they call you a tether.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
And
then
you got that red hat that says Trump was right about everything.
Yeah, I
and
sure do.
you always wear it when he was right about the thing they said he was wrong for saying in the first place. You are a troll.
You have noticed. I am so glad you have noticed. Oh my God. Let me get to these last super chats. Yeah, you good observation. Taurus Prince, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I cuss Crockett out on a daily basis.
Congratulations. Good job.
A mess. Oh my God, thank you so much. And then Taurus Prince with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Stephen A was being nice. He ain't said nothing but the truth. But every time she talks, I'm screaming, yelling, cussing, telling her to shut the up. Yeah, that's what everybody does. That's why most people cannot stand to watch that woman. That woman is absolutely ridiculous. And then last but not least, we have Shadow Dragon. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Did you hear about the hunting stand found in Palm Beach? Yeah, the sniper or something with Trump. It was a tree with a clear view of the airport Trump uses. God protect the president. Yeah, this is all types of stuff going on. They want that man up out of here because he's actually doing what he was supposed to do. Dave, thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and tell them where they can find you real quick before you roll.
Yeah, of course, you can find me on all social media platforms at The Business Bully. And please make sure you get my latest book, The Real Black Agenda, Exposing the Myths, Igniting the Revolution. It's everywhere, but go to therealblackagenda.com so we cut out the fascist middlemen trying to take my revenue. Thank you so much for having me, MICCA. I'm on the road in the Tennessee mountains. I'm having a phenomenal time on the road, and I love your format. I cannot wait to come and sit down and
Yeah,
chop it up.
I can't wait. I can't wait to do a whole interview. All right, Dave. Well, let me know if we need to put up anything.
Just therealblackagenda.com. That's all.
All right. All right, we'll put it in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right. Oh man. All right, you guys. So that is today's show. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you so much for the super chats. I'm gonna put this in the chat for Dave. All right. That's the address. That's the website right there. You guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Shuttle Dragon TV. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Miley. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Artifacts. I appreciate you. Thank you, Loud and Clear. Thank you, Eric Watson. Thank you, love. Thank you. Who else? Loud and Clear. Frankie. Thank you. Thank you, Slimmy, for pulling up. Thank you, Agency. Thank you, George. Thank you. Who else? True Patriot. What's up? Thank you. Who else we got here? Shane. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, Jay Witt Podcast. The Jay Witt Podcast. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to Willie Fells. Who else we got? We got. Trying to get y'all real quick. Mr. 43TX. So I'm assuming you in Texas. That's what's up. Thank you so much. Hey, if you got any footage on Jasmine Crockett down there or that district, let me know. Thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you, Davo. I appreciate you for pulling up. Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Who else we got in the building? Taurus Prince. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Thank you, Magnetar. Thank you, DJ Ace Production. Kim Wan. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who pulled up. Anthony Smith. I appreciate you. Nick J. Ian. Ruckus's nephew. George Everett. Y'all names. The Luxury Bucket List. Gosh, I love these names. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. As always, if I forget to say your name, I didn't do it on purpose. Thank you so much to Mike That Dude on Cash App. I appreciate you. I think I got, thank you, Melinda. I'm trying to get as many people as I can. Thank you, Quick Fix. Thank you, Courageous. What is that? Courageous Stowe? I think I said it right. Courageous Tay? Courageous Tay. Oh, okay. Courageous Tay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. Eric Harris, thank you so much. I appreciate you for pulling up. You guys, I appreciate every one of y'all. Thank you for rocking out. You guys were saying you're trying to do, 2 hours. So I tried. I'm close. Hour 56. That'll do. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. It's your girl, MICCA, and I'm out. Peace.